When you look at what you helped create, when you look at the legacy of N.W.A., on one side, you have what it did for the West Coast. You did what it did to the genre of hip hop. And you look at the family tree of N.W.A., and it's incredible.
It's pretty amazing.
I mean, to the Kendricks of today,
yeah, man.
all that, to the Eminems, all that comes from what you guys built together. But there's also the other side of it. N.W.A. wasn't technically the first gangster rap group, but they were the most influential gangster rap group of all time. And when you look at the effects of gangster rap, and I've talked to people about this. I talked to Alonzo about this. He said,
so the ratio of gangbangers to civilians was minuscule in the early 70s and early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, okay? Right after NWA, now I've been in the club business all this time, and I stopped making records. Went back to my second career, which is nightclub owner. What happened was NWA and gangster rap made gangster lifestyle cool. So the ratio started to change. Everybody was a gangbanger. It used to be 5% gangbanger, okay? Because gangbangers, once upon a time, had a code. You just couldn't have a gun. You had to be able to fight. You had to have something to bring to the hood other than a pistol. Well, at some point in time, when the dope and the gangbanging became profitable, everybody became a gangbanger. So now you got 95% gangsters or 90% gangsters and 10% civilians. And when that happened, everything went crazy because now theaters, clubs, parking lots, the park, everything is a war zone.
Yeah.
Okay. There used to be a time where there were places that you could go and you could feel safe. But when the gangster lifestyle became fashionable, the whole city became one big ass war zone.
How do you look at that and that effect from the music that you guys helped build?
When I was coming up, it was coming out of that era where the four corners were peace, love, unity, and having fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now we're moving into the era where it's all about money. And the four corners are just money, 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 and money. The drugs have entered into the neighborhoods. The kids are seeing the guys having money. You know what I mean? It's about the money. So the glorification, for lack of a better way of putting it, of that kind of thing was popular, and it's just like Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Who didn't watch Goodfellas and then want to go outside and be the good fella? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you look at the effect of Goodfellas on the Italian community versus N.W.A. on the black community, I think you see a very big difference. You didn't suddenly see a bunch of mafias sprouting up all over America and everyone shooting each other and so forth.
Well, I wasn't talking about the communities as separate. I was talking about society as a whole.
Country as a whole.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So who's to say that just the drugs that they pumped into these kids' neighborhoods wouldn't be enough? Because there was plenty of killing and gang stuff before the music because of that money that was made by that dope.
Right. And I interviewed Freeway Ricky, and he told me how the two kind of intermixed, how when the crack, or I guess Ready Rock is what they called it back then, was getting into the neighborhoods, N.W.A. became the soundtrack to the drug dealers.
I can
because no one was talking about selling drugs, selling crack until Eazy-E.
But it was
not to that extent.
It was a soundtrack because that's what was going on.
Yeah.
The music didn't make the event. The event caused the music.
But can you say it sort of went full circle and then
Absolutely.
the music
over and over again it went full circle, and the machine doesn't help. The machine pushes those guys. And you don't get a lot of Kendricks, but there's got to be a lot of them out there. It's got to be. But the guys that get they seem like the most popular guys are the guys that do that. No matter where they make it come from, they're all over the place, from Atlanta to New Orleans in LA, up in the Bay, Midwest, it doesn't matter where they're from. Those with that as a principal vocation, we'll say, to start off, always seem like be the guys that get all the juice, you know. But thanks to, and this is a circle of life kind of thing, just like anything else. Because from my perspective, the infusion of the Kendricks and the J. Coles and the guy from Detroit, I don't fuck with you guy.
Big Sean?
Big Sean. Those guys are bringing consciousness on a different level back to their production. Yeah. And even though it's not as dirty, it's kind of dirty. So the dirt that people have come accustomed to, I like it dirty. So when I drink, you know what I mean, I can feel the funk, you know what I mean? But you can listen to Cole or you can listen to Kendrick, and they got enough dirt mixed in with a message that you can fulfill yourself, you know, in just about every way you need.
Nowadays, they want me to be offbeat again. They like, oh, Silk, you be old Silk, you know what I'm saying? But I think I have my own style, which I don't think is right or wrong. So, and if you go back and listen, like I had a chance to listen to my own music. I'm like, wow, that was pretty good.
But he gonna be back soon, you know what I mean? That's my brother. He just, you know what I'm saying, going through it. So, you know what I mean. So we gonna be back strong. We gonna be back pretty strong right now, but we keeping it going.